This is Danny with QuadLugs, and today we're going to be doing the electronics on the 250 Mini version 2. We have a little background noise today where I'm charging up some batteries, and we have the AC going in here. It's like 100 today. So we did the frame build a while back on the version 2, and when we did that, we this plate here, the middle plate, was actually on top. So it was on top of this tab right here. It seems like every time we do a build, or I do a build, you know, I see something can be done a little bit different, want to try something new, something gives a little bit more room. And you know, so it's kind of always evolving. And that's the neat thing about QuadLugs. There's so many ways you can put them together. The kits that we sell and the kits that I build, it's my version, or my way of doing it. So if you want to send in some of your builds, I'd sure love to see them. There's just so many ways you can do it, and again, you know, it's changing, and this is one of those things that have changed. But anyway, I'm moving this plate from the top to the bottom here. And what it does, it gives me a little bit more room here and here. And if you looked at our original 250 on the electronics build, this plate was on top and the ESC was put up here. And you can put individual ESCs, or you can put a 4-in-1. Today we're going to do a 4-in-1. But what I've done by moving this plate here is that it gives us a little bit more room here, and this is plenty here. And we're going to put the ESC in this area. We're going to put the controls here. So when we're working on the ESC, we can take the bottom plate off, work on it, put it back. Working on controls, we can just take the top plate off and get to it, and I'll show you that in a minute. So that's why we're going to do it today. Again, if you put the plate on top, you can put the ESC on top and the controls at the bottom. No problem at all, just like on the original one we did. So let's get started on this. Now I've already installed the controls, but you'll see how simple it is, and we'll take a look at it. This is one identical to this, the version 2, and the plate has been moved to the bottom side of this. We're going to go ahead and take the bottom off, and I'll show you how we did it. Normally what I do is put the motors on first. I'll put all the motors on. If you're using Buddy RC motors, the Sunnysky 2204 2300 kVs, you'll have to solder on the bullet connector on there if you use those, which I recommend. This just makes it really easy to take them off and put them back, and or to switch out the motors, and it makes it an easy way of and quick way of putting it all together. So you solder your connectors onto your motors. The ESC, we're going to be using the 4-in-1, and we're getting this from HobbyKing, and it's tagged on you know, the product page. The connectors are soldered from the factory. The only thing you have to do is solder this plug here on, you know, your battery plug. So really minimizes the amount of soldering you have to do, and it really goes well. Put your motors on first, and I normally, you know, I use the zip ties. These are 4-inch, 18-pound zip ties. You can get them most anywhere, as Lowe's, you know, Home Depot, your hardware stores. Of course, your hobby shop too carries it. But anyway, you can put 4 on these. I recommend putting 4. I normally just put 2. That's my preference, though. And you know, if I have a really bad crash, it usually you know, pops them off and saves the motor. So get those put on. Put them on with your Velcro. I mean, with your tie straps or your zip ties, and you'll be ready to put your ESC on. Let me grab my drill. Seems like everything I have, you know, is charging. But we're going to go ahead and take the bottom off. And I normally assemble it, take it apart, paint it. That's just the way I do it. Assemble it back, and then when I start putting my controls on, whenever I get them in, if I've ordered them, or just whenever I get around to doing it, I go ahead and start taking it apart again. But you can let me go ahead and pull your bottom pan off, and there's your ESC. Really easy to put in. I normally put it in the center here, and it comes to where you can, it has 4 holes here to put screws in, and I'll put the screws in. I use the 3/8 inch long screws. I'll drill a 1/16 inch pilot hole and put these screws in. And you can see how I kind of line it up. I put it to where these capacitors are, they're sticking out from the plate just a hair bit, but you can move it over to where they're flush, if you want to do that. So I put that in, and then this is the front. I go ahead and route the wires this way, and again the plugs or the bullet connectors are already on these wires if you get this from HobbyKing. And so it makes it real easy. I go ahead and screw this down, run the wires, go ahead and plug them, and then go ahead and figure out which is which. Like this is motor number 1, is ESC number 4 here, which is the brown wire, the white wire. So I write all that down, and then I use that whenever I go to connect my motors up. So motor number 1 would be ESC number 4, which is white, so white would be our motor number 1, along with the power, because 1 will have power with it. This is going to be motor number 2, and that's going to ESC number 1, which is brown, so brown would be number 2. This would be number 3, which is going to 2 ESC, which would be red, and then number 3 would be 4, which would be orange. So write that down, motor 1, 2, 3, 4, the color of the wires. You'll have that whenever you go to hook it up to your controller. That's it on that. You go ahead and solder your connector on, solder your connectors onto your motors, install your motors first, turn it over, pull your bottom pan on, screw your 4-in-1 on, connect your wires, connect your wires, connect your wires, connect your wires. I normally do not put this on yet. We want to check rotation, then we'll tidy up. Write down which ESC goes to which motor, which color wire rather goes to the ESC that goes to the motor, and you're ready. Then you can put your bottom pan back on. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's see if I got it on there the right way. It's always good to remember orientation. This makes it a little bit easier. I seem to goof that up quite a bit. Let's see if I did get on this one. So you can see how easy it is putting on our ESC. It is a 4-in-1, and these are not replaceable. So in other words, if you burn one of them, you're going to have to replace the whole thing. But you can get these depending on time of the year. You can get these for anywhere from $20 or $18 on up to like $33. What I do is, when I see them, I get the one I need, and put it on here when I see them, or to build it. When I see them come on special, I usually grab me 2 or 3. You have a backup. They're real reasonable. Usually it's the cost of just buying maybe 2 or 3 of the regular ESCs. And you don't have to worry about power distribution and all that. It works out really well. We put that on. That's done. We're going to flip it over. Now underneath this is our controller. And we're using a CC3D controller here. Now any controller in this version 2, because of the room we have here, any controller you put in here is going to have to have side pins on it. So you know, if you have a CC3D with side pins or what they call bent pins, you can put the CC3D Atom, this little small one, or smaller version. You can put the Nays 32 with side pins, the mini Nays with side pins. So you can use quite a few different ones. You can use the flip, and it works real good. It fits in, and it's really easy. And I don't even know if I'm going to take the top off. This particular one here is a CC3D, and it has a connection on it to plug in a satellite receiver. And you know, let me go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and get this off so you can see it. Now, I'll put a link, and this is, I got this over at Banggood, and it's a real neat setup. It's a used on a spedix, and it's got the connection for the satellite, or you can use a conventional receiver, or you can use a PPM receiver. Let me go ahead and take this off. This Velcro is real good. Let me peel this back. Now you don't have to put Velcro, you know, over the whole top. I just do that because no matter what I want to put on here, I have, you know, I have a means of doing it, and it makes it real quick. You know, and I may put a camera, I may sometimes put 2 cameras on it, or, you know, something else that I want to lug around with it. And I just do it, that's again, my personal preference. And you know, every time I'm asked a question, really, it's hard for me to give an answer because, you know, just do it to what makes you happy, that's for sure. Okay. We'll go ahead and take this off. Now, the only thing I did was put the CC3D on here, and if you notice, it has a plug here to run your satellite, and I'm using a Lemon DSMX satellite, but you can, you know, it'll take a Spectrum or Vitava, and you can go into OpenPilot and set it up. It's a real nice setup, and these things are fairly reasonable from Banggood, and I'll put a link on there, but I think it was like $17 or something, like $14 or $17, and it makes a real nice setup that way. And you still have room, you know, for your camera that can be mounted here, and a one of the smaller video transmitters here with the antenna out. And this makes it really nice. You can do all your work here on your controls. Your ESC's been put on already, so you just come here and, you know, tie your wires in. Of course, motor number 1, and you can see that where there's our white wire there, then our brown, red, and orange. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm also going to put a link to Buddy RC, and they're really good guys, and that's where I get my motors from, and a lot of things from them, but they do a really good job. But they have a really good video on setting this up, and it's part of their spedix brand that they're selling. And you know, maybe I shouldn't be promoting another one, but it works really well, and their video is really, really good, and there's no sense in me going through it again when they do such a good job. Another really good video on the Nays Pix Hawk is underway right now. The Flip KK2, wow, CC3D, the CC3D Atom is Painless 360, and I'll have a link to that too. And I tell you what, he does such an excellent job, and he's super thorough, and he carries it from putting it on to on whatever he's building, as all the way from putting it on to all the additions that you can put on it, you know, like GPS if it'll hold it and everything else that goes along with it, lights on the nays. So he's very, very thorough, and he's very good. He explains it very well, and I highly recommend the site. Again, no need in me doing it when these guys have already put in so much effort and do such a great job. Let's put it this way, those two are my go-to videos. I use them a lot, and I continue to, and I highly recommend them. So anyway, very easy. ESC's at the bottom. We went over connecting the wiring. Solder the connectors onto your motors. That's all you have to do with it. The wires are long enough. What you see here on the ESC, there's no wires that's been added, none that's been cut. They fit just like this, and this is how they come out. Really, really good. And you can curve them around here like this and put your strap on. Makes a nice, neat job. Then the controller goes on. Go to either one of those sites for setting it up. Really, really good. I would recommend going with the stock settings on all of these, and then just tune it as you fly it. Get to fly it a little bit, get used to it, and then tune it up. You know, unless you have a preference on one that you've been using and you feel good with, then naturally go in with that. Like I said, you have to have the side connections on your controllers, or there's not enough room to fit in here. Now the original series 250 that we have, definitely enough room to put the controllers in with the straight pins coming up. No problem at all. So if you want to use that and you want a little bit more height and there a little bit more room, you can build it your frame as the original. Right now the frames can be built either way. We furnished the bumpers for the version 2 and the version 1 when you purchase it. And if you watch the videos on building the frames, or on the product page, what you get from us, you can build either frame. So you can do the version 1 or version 2. We have some changes coming up in the future. We're going to have these parts here. We're getting ready to start working on the mold. It's running a hair bit behind on, but we're making some changes. It's our fault. But this is all going to be made in one piece, these 4 here. So you won't have to do any more gluing. It makes a really, really, really nice setup. And we're going to have a designated area for the camera. And I think you're really going to like it. It's really coming along good, and we're going to be introducing that pretty soon. So this is a quick setup here. Now this piece here, we're going to be making a piece for this in the future. This is a prototype part, but for right now you have pieces of wood left over whenever you trim. Let me grab it here. Whenever you trim this 3" down to 2 1/4, and this is some of the wood you're going to have here, you can just cut it and put it in between here. If you want to make this removable, the top, I would go ahead and put a piece this way and CA it here where it'll slide in, and you can put a screw on the top, sort of like what we've done here. And then you can just glue it to this plate here, and that way this plate's always removable, and then you can fasten your plug to it. Or you can just have your plug loose on there. It actually fits, and you really got to do a lot to get it caught into the props. So anyway, that's a couple of things on it, and you'll see this is super easy for setting this up. The controls works really, really well. I'm gonna have a little flight footage on this, and our new tricopter that we're getting ready to introduce here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing a little bit of flight footage and show it to you guys in another video. Anyway, that's it. It's really, really simple. I know maybe I made it too simple, but it is just that easy. Check out those 2 guys on setting up the controls. Super easy. Again, the wiring from the ESC, connects up. It's really, really simple to do. If you have any questions, shoot me a email, or you can put it at the bottom of the video there in the comment section, and I'll answer your questions. And if there's any more detail that you need from me, please let me know. You're gonna love this. It flies very, very good. They're tough as nails, and they're super easy to build and super easy, if you would hurt it, to repair it. Anyway, this is Danny with QuadLugs. We'll see you real soon. Take care.